we started this year, right? And so tell me a little bit before starting, like what you maybe have done in the past, like where were you at? Because I know you've been working out still at the shed, right? And you've been like eating clean. You brought that up, like you thought you ate clean and all this, but things might not have been really moving the direction that you wanted to go, right?
I've been to several different trainers and looking for this exact thing, and they just either would put me on a paleo diet or a keto diet or intermittent fasting. And I don't know about any of you, but I need to eat all the time. So, I work out. I've been working out for 5 years straight every day, running, whatever, and I'm still like, why does my stomach hang over my pants? And so yeah, I've tried, I think, pretty much almost everything other than starving myself. So,
That one was next. No.
being a hunter and, everything else, we have great protein and whatnot, but I didn't know portion size. I didn't know how much I needed to eat every day in order to reach my goals. And so I saw Brian Sanders in a mankini, and I'm like, your ass looks great, man. How are you? My nephew totally dialed me in, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to talk to this guy. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
His yearly mankini. I love it.
You remember that?
Yeah, well, I do. Yeah, he likes to post that up every year if he gets to. I think it's like Maui or something, or somewhere in Hawaii. I think.
Yeah.
Mexico.
I told him it takes a big pair to wear that. And
Yeah.
He says, "Why get a rear shot?" And I'm like,
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. So you reached out, we had a conversation, and I think that like anything you get into and you don't really know a lot about, it's a little nerve-wracking, right? So we started out, and what was like your goals at the beginning of this year?
Well, I work out so much, so I wanted to see the effects of my workouts. I wanted to see it physically change my body, because I feel like I eat well, but I wanted to feel sexier. I kind of felt like a fat lard, and I'm like, why am I feeling this way when I'm doing all the things you're supposed to? So that's kind of, and my biggest goal was fat loss. I would like to gain, a little more muscle, but obviously I've learned we've got to do one at a time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So it was like fat loss, like getting the actual result, because like as we know, we could be working out, like you said, like 5 years, and like you're doing all the stuff you think you should be doing,
Yep.
but it becomes like frustrating, right?
Yes.
It becomes frustrating because the result is like not what you think it should be, and you're a person that actually stuck with it longer than I think most, where you're like, no, I'm going to keep trying, keep working hard, and you're such a high effort person and love it, and so, but it does get frustrating, right? Especially not getting to where you want to be and putting out all this effort and consistency, right? And so what was like some of the main obstacles that you felt like you were facing? Was it more of the nutrition stuff then?
Very much the nutrition stuff. It didn't seem like anybody wanted to help me specifically with what, they just want to give me a blanket crap, or, oh, well, you should just eat calories a day. I'm like, I'm gonna freak out, and then, you're just kind of on your own after that. And I really didn't know about macros and like, how much protein and, how much carbs. I mean, in fact, I've never eaten more carbs in life than I have with you. So anyway, that's a
For
plus.
everybody wanting to know, we don't try to starve ourselves from carbs. They're fun, right?
No, yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, it seems like, nutrition maybe was an obstacle, or it sounds like just having the right tools, because we knew our effort was there, right? And it's just like, we've just been told these blanket things, like you were saying, of, okay, just eat this many meals or only eat these certain foods or whatever. But it was never like some actual education of, okay, well, I'm doing this, but it's not working. So how is my body actually losing fat, right? And so going through, we started working together, started making progress. I wanted to ask, so everybody knows, I mean, there's been a lot, I feel like. So what have we accomplished this year? And we'll start with like the more outcome-based stuff, and then we'll go to couple different other things that I kind of stood out to me. But what will we have accomplished this year, Dawn?
Well, so far, I think I've dropped about 30 pounds of body fat. I've increased my strength weekly through my trainer Jen at the shed as well. with her workouts. But then, let's see, I shaved 30 minutes off my Spartan time. I just feel like I've just learned so much about nutrition that I had no idea about. So I just feel like, I don't know, this whole new world kind of opened up, you know? So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. It was like we start changing the way we think about nutrition or diet, right? It's not just a diet anymore. It's like, what's your favorite? Actually, what have you been like? Tell everybody. What have you been bragging about with your macros? What you get to have every day?
you want me to talk about vodka? I like to drink, so I do drink every night, and I'll go home and have, 2, 3, 4 drinks, and as long as I compute it in there, and I've been able to lose all this during that time, and yeah, and be happy, and I don't feel like I can't have this and piss me off, No,
Yeah.
I even had
Yep.
a bottle and a half of wine with my friend Renee the other day, but
we're here, yeah. And so, and I don't know if people have saw, like, they can go back in the group, and we've been posting like a workout that we did, right, for points.
Yeah.
And I think everybody can see, like, holy cow, she didn't just lose weight and just like got skinny, right? Like, you have muscle now, and like you're showing it, and you look athletic. You look great, Don. And so every single week, god dang, and every second, like, oh, I increased my strength this week in this and whatever, right? Or I shaved off and now I did a 5-minute run time for whatever distance, right?
Yeah.
And you're doing all this, and let me ask, like, do you feel like, I know, like, in different phases we've learned a lot about hunger and like energy and sleep and like stress and like correlations with our nutrition and how we can kind of go in and out of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in a broad sense, do you feel like the type of do you have the restriction like the stuff you've done in the past?
No, the only time I ever got mad was, remember when I hiked 12 miles and I was like, Pine Cones, Austin, and I like, Dawn, you need to add carbs when you walk that far. And I was like, John, send snacks. I'm done. Only time, because I was, really cognizant of portions, and just taking what portions I could have. But, now I've learned, when you expend that energy. But that, no, I have not. I have not felt one iota deprived. If anything, I do feel like I'm jealous about you guys and how much you guys eat. But other than that, it's, I've been on. It's been awesome.
Okay, cool, good. So yeah, you've done a phenomenal job. Like, I know that in the beginning, like, we started this process, and like I said, it is nerve-wracking in the beginning, right? Because it's all new. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of times we get into it, and we oftentimes start trying to implement like old habits when we start dieting, right? Like when we have our quote unquote normal, which is like our behavior habits prior to starting a diet, then we have like our diet habits where naturally we think we should start restricting or pulling this out or doing more of this or whatever, because that's what we have only been told in the past or what we're used to. And so it was like probably weird when you're like, no, I need you to eat more carbs, and no, I need you to like do less, or I need you to like whatever, still put in alcohol. And it's like, honestly, a mind shift, I feel like, and it was maybe for you because it was like nerve-wracking, because you're like, well, am I gonna progress, right? Like, I don't know. And so I think that we gained that confidence though, because you fully bought in. But I think that it helped a lot because you asked a ton of questions. I think people are scared to ask questions, right? Because like in the past, like with a trainer or something, they just tell you, just do what I say, right? Don't ask questions. And that's where it's like communication, I feel like, was so huge, because once we had conversations and we're like talking about it and understanding why we're even doing this or how this will benefit us, it helped us gain confidence. And then you totally just like fully bought in. And then all of a sudden shit got crazy, right? Like you just started, the Spartan race, even like the Spartan race, and you're hunting up mountains, and you're going to Africa and doing those, and then come back, and now you're doing like another Spartan or a triathlon or whatever. Like, it's awesome to see, and I'm just so thankful that you were, a part of this, and I got to be a part of your journey. And I guess like going forward, what were kind of the main takeaways you think this year that you learned, or like, what were kind of some big impact stuff, like on top of all the stuff you've achieved? What were some of the main things you feel like you learned so you can implement this as a lifestyle now?
Well, like everyone knows, there's no easy way of doing this. It's not like I can take a pill or I can just forget about it. So, but for me, you either decide you're going to take control of what you're doing, or just keep doing what you're doing and keep getting what you got. I mean, you hear that story, and that's just what's going to happen. I've had all sorts of clients, do these paleo ketos and whatnot, these quick fixes, and then I've seen them gain right back the weight and lose hair, they just not doing well. So I've learned that let me see. I've learned a lot, actually. It's hard to put it all in.
I know, right? That's what I didn't want to put you on the spot. There's
Yeah.
just a few main, because I know we have talked so much. I feel like every week we got something new we're talking about, right? And just learning, right? Like, okay, and let me ask you this. This isn't just like one static plan, right? Like, this is ever evolving all the time, right? And that's where, like, I think we've trying to learn, how is that evolution going to keep continuing, right?
Yeah. Well, but the thing is that I've learned that, when I went to Africa and I'm eating weird food, I was able to kind of guess and still stick on it and still lose in Africa eating weird food and weird animals, Yeah. I was able to still drink. I'm able to, still go party with my friends. And then there's been days where I'm like, oh shit, I fell off the wagon, whatever. And you've been so inspirational to, like, Dawn, it's okay, stay with me here. And anytime I have questions, even at the store, like, what Jello do I buy? You're like, eat that one. So it's like you're good at eating very, very quickly. So I don't feel like I was left like, I don't know what to do, but one of the biggest things I've learned is to eat, with the training situation, with the elk hunting, for example, when you said, hey, John, your body's going to start eating the muscle and things like that. I'm like, I never knew that. I thought, well, why doesn't it just pull from the big chunk of fat that's hanging over my pants? You know what I mean? But it's not how it works. And the fact that it takes the entire year to lose 30 pounds to keep it off, because now I've changed my lifestyle rather than losing 30 pounds in a month and then I'm a fat lard the next month because it's not sustainable, So, or even like we're saying about your own muscle gaining with taking a whole year of putting 50 pounds on.
Yeah, I posted it. Yeah.
Really? Wow. Well, that's mind blowing. Whereas you see all these influencers on Instagram and all that crap, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you can have an ass that looks like mine if you do squats every day. You're like, whatever. That's not how it works.
No, unfortunately, we're not all blessed with the best, like the top tier genetics, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just like the realistic expectations, it feels like maybe you've learned a little bit, but I like what you said of, yeah, I could go and try to lose like 30 pounds in a month or two, and just like really crash diet and, go through all the psychological warfare of like, I'm hungry, I'm craving, and I'm just, whatever. And then the next month you just gain it back and you kind of just feel like a fat lard again, right?
Absolutely.
And so we kind of we spent a lot of time, and I'm so thankful you bought in on the process because it was a little bit slower, obviously, right? But I think that if you would have lost 30 pounds in a couple months, like you wouldn't have the muscle you have, you wouldn't have the strength, you wouldn't look like as like I think what you wanted to look like, right? But in the process of doing it, it was probably a lot more fun. You accomplished a lot more and you felt more satisfied with yourself. You weren't starving. You were eating carbs. You were drinking alcohol. You didn't sacrifice your social life, right? All these things that are so important that we've been talking about through the 5-day challenge, right? And you got to keep all of that. And you didn't have to restrict yourself. And you learned how this process evolves. Now you really set yourself up for the tools of like, yeah, sustaining it and just continually going at it and just living your life, right? It's just kind of second nature now.
Two other things I wanted to touch on really quick. You made me go to a lady to go have tests done for my adrenals and the liver. I mean, I don't go to a doctor. I don't do that stuff. So I'm like, well, that'll be interesting to see. And she actually diagnosed me low in testosterone, which has helped me with my mental, the SADs, where you get sad and depressed and you down spiral. And that has helped me tremendously to be able to stick with this plan because I'm not all bummed out all the time. But not only that, I was able to do all this and watch my mom unfortunately die of cancer this year. And it was absolutely devastating and terrible, but yet I was able to, even with all of that heartache and sadness, stay stuck with it, you know. And in fact, it gave me something to kind of, I don't know, look forward to, as you would, you know, and be proud of. Like, everything sucks, you know what I mean? So anyway, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
But even when your life is crapping on your face, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
yeah.
100%. And that's where I'm so glad you brought that up. And, you know, my thoughts go out to you. We've already had these conversations, but you're right. You absolutely were able to stick with it. And that's where we kind of talk about like defining success, right? Is everybody can do it when they're motivated at the beginning of the year and it's easier. You have this motivation or like in the easy situations, but you're talking about you're able to stick with it. You were able to learn how to navigate and always get done what you need to get done during the toughest times in your life, or the toughest obstacles for the year, right? Yep. And that's where the success and for sustainability actually happens. Because if you can do it when it's really difficult, then you can do it when it's easy, right? And so yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's super important. And you kind of even touched on things that I've been trying to talk about during the, you know, the 5-day challenge and just through all of it, right? Yep. So yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. And so I guess, because I know you got to wrap things up too. You accomplished a lot this year. I guess for the people that are going into the new year, right? If they have goals and you've been watching, I think, the 5-day challenge as well, what would you add to it for your own perspective? Like, what would you tell people that are looking to change their health? And then we'll talk about like, what would you tell people? Because I know some people have been messaging me, you know, interested in me helping them or just like trying to gain more information. What would you tell people like just getting started and have this New Year's resolution?
Well, how important are you to yourself is what I have to say about that. Because like you have said a million times, and I cannot agree with it more, not take care of other people unless you yourself first. And, you know, when I feel very proud of myself, when I feel slept in, energetic, you know, full of, you know, it's just healthy. I mean, I'm around sick people all day long. And Jesus, I have not gotten sick at all this year. So, you know, I mean, how important are you to yourself, really? And if this is something that you really want to do, I mean, I'm not a cheap hairstylist. I'm just going to say it. I'm not a cheap hairstylist. So you can either go to Fantastic Sam's and get a shitty haircut, or you can pay the money. And so me, I had beat a dead horse enough with other cheaper programs that, cheaper, I hate saying that shit, but anyway, you know, that I'm not getting what I want. And, you know, with this particular program, it was like I got individual results, attention, and I just feel like I don't know, and it's easy. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say other than that, really. I mean, you know, but you got to stick with it. It's the consistency is where I feel my results came from. You know, not jumping off the wagon and, you know, kind of flip farting all over the place. I'm at the gym every day. I'm counting my macros every meal, and it's easier and easier. But you know, there you go.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it. It's all gonna matter of if you're doing it for yourself, right? And you can't take care of other people without taking care of yourself first. And I love what you touched on there too of all the cheap stuff, right? And out there you can find a million things, $100, couple $100, try the new fads, last whatever. But like, it's kind of like I make the analogy of a car payment. Like you get this car, it's like this expense every month. It goes down in value. It's taking you from point A to point B, just like any other car. But maybe shift your mindset of, I need to invest in myself. I need to learn the tools. I need the attention or whatever it is, because it's like if you buy real estate and rent it out, right? And that thing will be paying you for the rest of your life. Exactly. You know, that's kind of the same scenario here is you're giving yourself the confidence for the rest of your life. You're giving yourself the tools so you can be your own coach and never have to do one of those fad diets again, right?
Well, yeah, so, how to make my body the machine that the good Lord made it to be. It's pretty freaking awesome to see what it is capable of. And I love how you put the words in, you know, overfeeding. You know, I fed my goats too much, or you know, things like that. It just makes me look at food a little different instead of well, we still enjoy it, but it's, you know, I do that as people now. You know, something to put in my mouth. But anyway.
Yeah. 100%. I couldn't agree more. So I guess just touching out here is, I know you got to go. If people going through the 5-day challenge, I feel like people have gotten value. Maybe people don't really know about like me or the program, like the program you went through, right? And so I've had people reach out though and just kind of interested or just wanting to learn more. What would you tell those people if they were interested in working with me or working with a team like you have?
What would I tell them?
Yeah.
I would tell them to do it. Don't be wishy-washy. You either do it or you don't. You obviously
I love it. God, I love you, Don, so much.
because you feel like a fat lard or you have a problem or something. So, I mean, you're not going to do it being wishy-washy,
Just gotta
So
go all in.
Yep.
Yep. You just got to go all in, right?
Yep. Balls to the wall.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Don, for hopping on here. I seriously, everything you said, I couldn't have written it down better of like your response, like just everything you've kind of showed. I hope that people have gained some value here. Like I said, guys, you can take something that Don maybe has said, because I just want to show her some support and how like proud I am of her. I want to spotlight her. She was phenomenal this year. I won't forget it for the life of my career of working with Dawn. So if you guys want to just make a little post for your points of maybe something that resonated with you, something you learned from her, you can post in the group and get your points. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys tonight. Anything else, Dawn?
Nope, I think we covered it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, anyways,
right.
You guys have a good rest of your evening, Dawn. I'll
Bye,
let
guys.
you get back to it.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.